What is up, y'all? My name is Andrew Westmoreland. Welcome to the first edition of Behind the Gate. I'm a local real estate agent. I'm a co-owner of a firm, All About You Realty, as well as a property management company, Triad Management and Rental Solutions. And what we're really trying to accomplish with this show is we want to highlight some of the incredible people that live in our city. And so today on first episode, my good friend, Raffi Simel, has been gracious enough to sit down with us, tell us a little bit about himself and what he's got going on. So yeah, Raffi, let's get into it, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I was actually born in Munich, Germany, which is far from here.
Yep.
And my mom and I moved to Greensboro when I was under one year old. So I was really young, moved sort of all around the country and was in Northern California. And my mom took a job at Greensboro College right before I was in ninth grade. And we moved here. I wasn't so sure about it first, but my grandparents lived their adult lives here. Was part of why she wanted to move here. And I love living here.
Yeah.
So.
And going back to Germany, you're still dual citizen, correct? Is
That's
that right?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's right.
Cool. So professional life, what are you doing these days?
Yeah. So for the last 10 years now, which is crazy, my team and I were office real estate advisors with Cushman and Wakefield, formerly Triad Commercial Properties. So we help companies buy and sell and lease office buildings around the Triad and occasionally in other cities as well. So which I love doing, and it's great to see Greensboro sort of grow over these last 10 years and feel like I'm familiar with a lot of these buildings and a lot of these new companies moving in. So it's exciting to see all of that growth.
Yeah. Do you feel like because you have such a pulse on that community, like I'll hear about something and you're like, yeah, I knew about that shit 2 years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
You get the fast track to all the cool stuff.
Yes. A lot of our work is appropriately confidential, and which is interesting, but it's also it's one of those things where certain deals that we know about, it can feel a little bit lonely to know what's about to happen and not be able to share yet, but it's always exciting.
Yeah, and I think you've done a good job at that. I know I've joked with you in the past, like, oh man, you knew about that? Like, this is so cool. You're like, yeah, I couldn't say anything, but so
Right.
Anyway, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Me and you were having breakfast the other morning. What was the restaurant we were at?
Its official title is Bagner and Alexa's, but I call it Bangers and Mash.
Bangers and Mash.
It's just easier to remember.
On Spring Garden, right?
Spring Garden.
And you were telling me that they, on Yelp, which, Yelp, whatever, they got voted like #1 restaurant
Apparently,
or something?
#1 in Greensboro on Yelp now. And it's funny, I remember going when they opened however many months ago, and it was just me and a couple of others in there.
Yeah.
But now it's busy all morning, all the time.
And you would say the tacos are the way to go?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. The burrito tacos.
Burrito tacos.
Even for breakfast.
Anyway, I bring that up because you were sharing with me, and I don't know why I think this is so funny, but you are in the near future traveling to Virginia for the women's NCAA cross country championship.
Well, yes, it's women's and men's.
Okay.
And I don't know why I'm so interested in cross country these days, but somehow on YouTube. I watched a video like a year or two ago, and now I'm all in. And not many people share this passion with me, but I've convinced my aunt and uncle to come up with me. And so there's a woman from NC State, Caitlyns, who she's my favorite runner. I just think she's awesome, and will probably be her last, at least college cross country meet. So I feel like
It's appropriate. You got to be
gotta
there.
go. I've never been to a cross country meet. Got to try it out. See what's up.
Yeah. So on that note, she holds a ton of records that you share with me, but she's got a little bit of a competition these days.
Yes.
Let's Parker, is that her name?
Parker Valby from Florida. So NC State versus Florida. I'm team NC State on this one.
Of course.
Team Caitlin. And yeah, it's just going to be interesting. They're different. They have different styles. Parker goes out like hot right from the gun and just, sort of sees what she's got. And Caitlin is like maybe a little bit more like a sit and kick kind of person, kind of comes on at the end. So yeah,
I'm sure that's exactly how she explains her.
Yeah.
I'm a sit and kick type of racer.
Yeah, this is like the real lingo here.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting to see. Yeah, I'm deeming it the race of the century.
Race of the century. Yes. Well, I'm sure there's like 10 other people on the East Coast that would agree with you. I will say, listening to you explain it, I am now vested.
Nice.
And I think it's streaming on ESPN, so I will be watching the stream.
Yeah, maybe you'll see me.
Maybe I'll see you. Maybe I'll pull for Parker. I don't know yet.
We'll see.
I know you hate to hear that.
Yeah.
So moving past that, buddy, couple questions I wanted to present to you. Getting back to the city we live in, Gate City, Greensboro. You've been here now since 9th grade, like you said, number of years. If there was anything you could change about Greensboro, what do you think that would be?
I'd rather answer what I like about Greensboro, if that's okay.
I can appreciate that.
I want to stay positive. And there's so many things to be positive about. What I love about Greensboro, one of the things, is I really believe that anyone from Greensboro or that lives here can do anything. I know a congresswoman. I know a billionaire. I know a Grammy winner, a gold medalist. I know amazing artists and writers and nonprofit executives who are doing amazing things. And for anyone that thinks this is too small of a town to accomplish their dreams is just, I think, really mistaken. And anything can happen from here, which gives me a lot of like hope and assurance that I'm making the right choice by being here.
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Is there one thing that sticks out above all that you just will change the gears to, that you really, really love about Greensboro?
I think that's it. I mean, it's Greensboro's I think is a great size. It's not so big that you don't feel invested in it, but it's not so small that you don't feel like big things can happen.
Awesome. Thank you. So gonna get a little personal here. I hope that's okay.
Sure. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the reason I want to ask this question is so often, and I consider you a successful individual, and I've known you for years. You're an incredible person, and most of the people I meet along those lines, they don't necessarily always. Well, some people really like talking about themselves, but they don't always like to kind of share who they are. But I think the one thing that they would all have in common is they've failed more than they have succeeded. And so often we see all the successes, but we don't necessarily always hear about the failure. So I'm curious, what would you say your biggest failure is to this point in life, and how has that kind of defined who you've become as a person?
Great question. I've failed many times, and I I'm a big proponent of failing. I think it's important. It's good to go out go out and fail. I would say one that I can remember close to 10 years ago now, which is sort of wild. I was tasked with along with another person tasked with raising actually several $1 million for this nonprofit organization in Greensboro. And I was very young, mid-20s, and I thought it would be a great idea to gather together the people that had done that work before me, which I thought was important to do, and get their feedback and get their advice. And I had this amazing group of business leaders and just leaders in a room together, and I in retrospect, and I knew it fairly thereafter, but I was too insecure and lacking confidence to not express the vulnerability of who I was in that moment with them. And instead, because of my insecurity, I felt a need to prove my thoughts and my thinking about how we were going to proceed. And it was just such a missed opportunity, because I think if I had had the confidence to be more vulnerable in that moment, I could have really actually received their advice.
Yeah.
And I think we often make that mistake in leadership roles and in our relationships with other people, and just in general, of it takes confidence to be vulnerable. And that was a failure of mine that I'm since aspiring to continue to improve upon.
Yeah, isn't there what do you call it? There's like a phrase for that, and it's not fake it till you make it, but there's it's slipping my mind, but there's
Maybe some imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I certainly had that, continue to struggle with that. But I think it's important to acknowledge that. And I do now, but I didn't in that moment. And I think the fake it till you make it really hurt me.
Yeah.
In that moment. And it wasn't natural to me. So, but we live and learn.
Yeah. That's good insight too. And I love that you were approached with a task, and at the same time, you weren't so overconfident. You were just like, oh my God, I freaking got this. I'm going to crush it.
Right.
You were like, you know what? I'm going to go seek the help of people that have done this before me. I'm going to try to not be the smartest person in the room to achieve this goal. And I think
part
that's
was
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
That
I think
part
you
was
crushed
good.
that part. I wanted to comment on that.
That part was good.
Switching gears a little bit. Thank you for sharing that. I think we can all, in all aspects of life, get really in our own heads and feel vulnerable. And sometimes you almost feel like you can't really let that out sometimes. And it's good to know that, hey, sometimes just, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. So switching gears a little bit, last personal question I got for you. Biggest mentor. Tell us about who that is, one, and two, what they've kind of meant to you over the years.
Yeah, that's hard for me. It's my first instinct is again, I'm like going where I want with your question, but
That's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's all right.
I have a lot of wonderful women in my life. So my mom, my uh, late grandma, my sister. Um, there's people, all who are not in Greensboro, but Sue Simmons, Sue Cole, um, uh, a friend Stacy, and the list goes on and on. I just get a lot of inspiration and advice from all of them.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on that note, it sounds like, like you said, you have a lot of women in your life that mean a lot to you. Is there one common characteristic in that group that you think you could really hone in on?
yeah, I think leadership. They're all leaders in their own way, and that looks differently to each one. My sister in Germany, she's 20 years old today, which is
Well,
awesome.
happy birthday,
Yeah,
sister.
exactly.
I don't know how to sing happy
Yeah,
birthday in
yeah.
German, but if I did, I would.
So she's a law student. She's a good bit younger, but I'm sure she's you know leading in moments with her friends, and in the classroom, and doing good things in her own community. So that's consistent over all the people that I mentioned.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I got one more thing for you, and we'll wrap this episode up. I want to again thank you for being in our first episode, and it means a lot to me that you're here. For those that don't know, Raff is also one of my dearest friends. He really is an incredible guy. I was fortunate enough to meet him when he moved here when he was in ninth grade, and I think from the first time he got in my car to go to golf practice at Grimsley, we've been pretty much best friends ever since. Um, I have been amazed in watching you grow up and how involved you are in the community, and it's always been an inspiration to me as well. A lot of organizations, a lot of events, and we just recently went to one down at Cadillac Service Garage. It was really cool. Felt privileged to be there as an extension of you. Out of all these service things, I would say service-oriented actions that you do, is there one that you're, and I don't want you to offend anybody here,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like, is there one that really sticks out in your brain that you're just extremely passionate about?
Well, thank you for the compliment about all of that. I'm passionate about all of them, but I think one right now that I do not have a leadership role in, and I'm not currently volunteering with them, but I have financially supported and will continue to do so, and I feel like I'm a friend of the organization. NCCJ, I think, is really wonderful, and rather than try to tell you about them just off the top of my head, NCCJ stands for, it now stands for North Carolina for Community and Justice. And and I'm reading this off their website.
That's fine, buddy.
They work to build more respectful and inclusive communities free of bias, bigotry, and racism. there, you may have heard of Anytown. Anytown is that's kind of like a key, like, signature event of theirs, and it's like almost like a summer camp where they take high school aged students on a retreat to kind of talk about you know, bias and inclusivity and all these things. And we all bring our different contexts and different lenses to other people and issues, and it's just important to recognize that we do that, and to be more inclusive and to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So they're wonderful. NCCJ.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for sharing that. We are also brought my checkbook here. We'd like to make a donation to that group.
Amazing.
On our behalf, your behalf.
Amazing.
So we're going to write a check for $250 to that cause.
Amazing.
And appreciate you sharing.
I'll match it.
All right, Raffi's going to match it. So we got $500 going to NCCJ. Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up, Raff. Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure listening to you. I will be definitely tuning in to the cross country championship.
Yes, good.
Parker?
Caitlyn.
Parker.
They're both great. They're both great.
Anyway, appreciate it, guys. Hope you tune in next week. We'll have Gerard Truesdale with us with Crossroads and his partner Arturo. Looking forward to interviewing them and hearing what they have to say about what they've done for the community of Greensboro. Until next time.